Hello and welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Friday, February 24th, 2017, and this is episode 7. Yay, lucky 7. My name is Carol and I'm known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry. That's capital KNITSNPURLS. I live in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, approximately 100 kilometers or 60 miles east of Vancouver. Show notes for this and every episode can be found at astitchintimepodcast.blogspot.ca, and if you'd like you can come join the Ravelry group. That can be found by searching the Groups tab on Ravelry for A Stitch in Time podcast. I've discovered that the first few minutes of every podcast are the most difficult, and I end up recording this section probably half a dozen times before I get it right. So let's hope this is the last time. I'd like to thank everyone once again for reaching out to me this week, either via Ravelry or via YouTube. You've left some very kind messages for me, and I really appreciate all the feedback and the support that I've received from this community. I've been having a lot of fun podcasting. It's interesting how my thought process during the week has changed a little bit, because I'm always thinking about, what can I talk about on the podcast? Or, gee, maybe I can get this finished in time for the next podcast. So it's interesting how just in a few weeks that's inserted a different element into my life. But I'm enjoying it so far, really enjoying the interaction with all of you, and I'm glad that so many of you seem to enjoy it, because I'm enjoying doing it. So thank you. This week on the Ravelry, in the Ravelry group right now, I'm hosting an Agatha Christie along, a very casual knit along, just to knit or crochet anything Agatha Christie related. It was inspired by my beginning to read my Agatha Christie collection through via, or in terms of starting. Okay, I'm not re-recording this. Going in order of publication. So I thought it would be fun to knit along at the same time. So thank you to Cat6, who has been playing along with me. Her name is Jackie, and she's just finished her pair of Miss Lemon socks. And go take a look. They're a beautiful speckled lace sock in Knit Picks Hawthorn. That's inspired me to knit with my hawthorn. I have a couple of skeins in the stash. I put a little bit in my sock yarn blanket, but I haven't knit anything substantial out of it yet. So I'm encouraged to give that a try. So many yarns, so much time, right? Or so little time. Something else, Cat6 recommended to me the Fruity Knitting podcast. It's a podcast I had heard of before but never checked out. So I did do that this week, and I've been quite enjoying it. It's produced by a couple, Andrea and Andrew, and they are Australian, but they have lived near Frankfurt, Germany for, I think they said about 15 years, if I'm not mistaken. They have a teenage daughter there, and Andrea is just an amazing knitter. She's done a lot of color work, Fair Isle, beautiful sweaters, and Andrew's just learning how to knit. So he's, as of the podcast I just watched, he's just finished his first pair of socks, and he was knitting his first pair of socks two at a time on magic loop, and I just can't imagine how difficult that must have been. I find my first pair of socks I did do on magic loop also, but I can't imagine trying to manipulate two pairs at one time. Oh, and from one strand from the inside of the ball of yarn and one strand from the outside, so the additional challenge of dealing with these ends that are twisting around each other. My hat's off to him for sure. Anyway, if you're looking for a new podcast, Andrea also, I haven't checked them out yet, but she's produced a number of tutorials on different knitting techniques. She's primarily a sweater knitter, so very full of information and very enjoyable too. They also conduct interviews with designers and her local yarn shop owner, and they visited a woolen mill in Wales. Very interesting. So be sure to check them out if you're looking for something new to watch. So thanks again, Jackie, for recommending that. I've been enjoying it. Also in the group, there's been a little bit of discussion about sock knitting, and there seems to be some interest in me maybe doing a series on socks and talk a little bit about various methods of construction and the different parts of the sock, different methods for, heels and toes, and cast-ons and bind-offs at top down, toe up. So I'm going to give that a little bit of thought and try to put together, a little something that I can share with you. I'm no expert, but I certainly have knit a lot of socks, and I've knit tried quite a few different techniques. So I probably won't share anything brand new with you, but maybe it's something you personally haven't heard before. So look for that coming up in a future episode or episodes. So meanwhile, let's get to today's episode. It will include what I'm wearing. I have a couple of finished projects to share with you. I have some works in progress, a blast from the past, what I'm looking at doing coming up in the near future. I have a product review for you today. I'll also share a little bit about what I'm reading and about what's been going on in my life this week. So let's get to it. As usual, I'll probably take a little sip of tea here just to wet my whistle. And if you'd like to grab a beverage yourself, this is a good time to do it. And then settle in for a lot of conversation this week. I think it's going to be a long one. Drinking some Irish breakfast tea from David's Tea. It's my third cup of tea this morning. That's another thing. I usually podcast in the afternoon. My craft room faces west, so I get more light in it in the afternoon, but I thought I'd try. It's kind of late morning now. It's a bit overcast, so I don't know how much more light I would get in here anyway. I'm also curious if the lighting will be different. I have a new overhead light in this bedroom. We bought some LED lights for our new bedroom that we've built downstairs, and so we decided to replace the light fixtures in the other bedrooms with the same light fixture and the new bulbs. So it'll be interesting to see how, if it makes a difference with the colors as I show them to you. I know sometimes I have a hard time depicting the colors as I see them. The screen shows something a little different. So we'll see. If you notice a difference, let me know. I'd be interested to hear. So what am I wearing this week? Well, this is called, it's a sweater called Miranda by Jose Paca. I knit this back in November 2013, and it actually was a very speedy knit. I think I made it in about a week's time, actually. So I obviously both enjoyed it and wanted it quickly. The yarn is Malabrigo worsted, and it's in the Va colorway, V-A-A. So it's a beautiful mix of greens and blues. Every time I think of this colorway, I kind of have to smile. Our older son, when he was learning how to talk, he couldn't say my sister's name. So we'd say, can you say Auntie Anna Marie? And he would go, Va. So Va she became. My husband still teases her quite a bit about that, and that was it'll be 30 years ago this June that he was born. So this joke's been going on for a long time. So I always think of her when I wear this sweater because of the name of the yarn or the colorway. This yarn, this was actually my third attempt at making something with it. I know I did another cardigan with it, and I wasn't happy with it when it was done. And I don't remember what the other project was. I just saw that in my project notes. But this one stuck. And it's a top-down raglan. Has short sleeves. Has this lovely cable pattern down the middle. And I'll stand up so you can see that it comes down in this, widens out here, and then there's actually pockets here that go in. So this, when you see this on the screen, if I come about here, that's actually quite a good representation of the fabric. And it's nice, you can wear it over a t-shirt for an extra layer. Today, even though we've had milder weather, it's, I think the latest I checked was only about 4 degrees outside, which, let's see, Dublin at 30, so about 38 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's been nice to have a little bit of an extra layer around, or on me today. In any case, I modified the yoke. I found that the pattern made the increases very quickly on the yoke, and I just found it too fast and too bulky. So I ripped it out and I re-knit the smallest size and then gradually increased. Oh, I know, I knit the smallest size down to here, and then something else that I found strange, every other top-down sweater I'd knit before had you cast on stitches under the arms, and then do the same with the sleeves, and this one didn't. So I cast on enough stitches to bring the size up to the size small, I believe it was, to fit my bust, and happier with that. I probably should have stopped the yoke maybe an inch higher, because there's a little bit of extra bulk. It sits down a little bit lower than I'd like, but in general, it's nice and loose, and it's, you know, I just mostly wear this at home as an extra layer anyway, so no worries with that. What else did I do differently? Oh, I added some waist shaping on the back. I figured the cables brought in the waistline in the front, but I did some decreases down the about 1/3 and 2/3 of the way down the back, just to bring that waistline in a bit. And also I altered where I began the waist, or the front panel shaping on me. I have a long torso, even though I'm only about 5'3" I have a long torso, so I generally have to add some length to a sweater and plus move my waist down a little bit. So yeah, other than those modifications, I mean, it fits me quite well, other than kind of under the arms here, and I've had quite a bit of wear out of it. The only downside, and it's something I was aware of and did it anyway, and that's that Malabriga worsted is a singles yarn, and it's merino, so it's soft, and it tends to pill. So that's means that it's gotten looking a little bit ratty lately. However, spoiler alert, I'm going to do a product review on something I bought a few weeks ago to deal with pilling on sweaters, so I will talk about that a little later in the episode. I cleaned this one up and I'm actually quite pleased with how it's looking now. So let's move on to what have I finished this week. Well, I've got 2 pairs of socks finished. The first one is my love letters. This is a pattern by Irish Girly Knits, and it's knit out of Koigu KPPPM color P306. I knit these for the Grocery Girls February Sock Bash. Each month you have to pick a project that somehow relates to the month that you're knitting it for. These, obviously, with the heart motif and the name and the pink yarn, had a very Valentine's like theme to them, so that was an easy one to choose. So I'm very happy with these. As you can see, there is a lace and cable pattern that runs down the leg and then down the foot also. But when this is on, this is what you would wear on the outside of your foot. So this is the right sock. But when you turn it around, you can see that the lace and cable pattern only comes down so far on the inner part of the sock, and then the rest is done in stockinette. So, so yeah, be able like that, and you can see the contrast. So very happy with how these turned out. They fit really well. I had very little yarn left when I was done. I weighed it. I only had 3 grams left. So it's a good thing. I think I showed you last week just the little bit that was left over from the first ball. And it's a good thing I didn't really realize that till after I had Kitchenered the toe, or I might have been in more of a panic about having enough yarn. But as it is, I had just enough, and I don't think I'll be able to do a whole square on my sock blanket, but I might, if it fits in color-wise, I should probably have enough to do a little half one, a little triangle along the side. So I always like to incorporate yarns I've used into it. So we'll see. So yeah, there's project number 1. And as I mentioned, the second thing that I finished is another pair of socks. And hooray, I finished Cameron's socks in time for his birthday on Monday. So these are actually, I've blocked them. They are still a little bit damp. I washed them, finished them and blocked them yesterday. Actually, I'm very happy with how the color is turning out on the screen. It seems to be quite true. So these are called Nelson Cabin socks. It's a design that I came up with a few years ago. We were staying in a cabin called Nelson Cabin, and I began a pair of socks for my brother-in-law, actually out of the same yarn in a different colorway. And I wanted something more interesting than just plain stockinette, and even just more interesting than a 2x2 rib. So I ended up coming up with an alternating 1x1 and 3x1 rib, and then it's just 1x1 rib on the cuff. To be honest, it's one you have to pay a little bit of attention to, because if you get out of rhythm, sometimes I would purl in the middle of one of these knit 3 sections, but overall, not too bad. I mean, I find men's socks in general, they take so much more time to knit than my own, especially when you have someone with like size 11 feet or size 12 feet. But, you know, I like to knit socks for my husband and for my brothers-in-law. My boys aren't that interested. I had knit each of them a pair, and they never really wore them, so I don't knit socks for them anymore. But this, I should tell you, is made from Drops Fable long print in color 604 called Ocean View, which I think is quite fitting with the blues and the brown. And I think last time I showed you I had just finished the gussets and was partway down the feet, so I got quite a bit done. We were mostly just watching TV, and then I worked on them. Oh, I know, I had, the night before last, I had finished the toe except for the Kitchener, and I was ready to do the next toe, so I did that yesterday morning and washed them, blocked them. So yes, so yay, those are done in time for Cam's birthday. So what am I working on this week? Well, I've picked up my Mr. Harley Quinn socks again by Very Busy Monkey. These are the socks that I'm knitting for the Agatha Christie along. Pardon me while I reach here. I have finished the first sock quite a while ago. Gee, I really like how these colors are showing up. They're very true. Yay. So there's the first sock, and as you can see, it has this kind of diamond pattern that goes down the entire sock. And then if you like, there's an option to create this diagonal pattern, have it go across the instep and on a slant. And so then you do your 2 socks, you mirror them. So this, if this is the right sock, then the left sock will have this thing starting and going that direction. So I've got the first one done for a while, and I've actually made quite a bit of progress on the second. I think I was partway down the leg last time I showed it to you, and now I've completed the leg and heel, put a short row heel in. I put a short row heel, I substituted it because the pattern itself has a heel flap and gusset, but I often find on variegated yarns that disrupts the way that the yarn is behaving, and I didn't want a bunch of pooling. at the instep, so I just added a short row heel there. And I believe what I have now, I'm ready to start the part where you start slanting the design across the instep now. So I think it starts about here. You knit up to a certain part, and then you just do a stockinette stitch, and then that gradually travels, the design gradually travels across the instep. So that's, I think, another 36 or so rows, and then I'm ready for the toe. So that, these knit up really fast. There's only 60 stitches, so that helps. And it's a very intuitive pattern, and every second row is just knit. So I'm finding these work up really quickly. So I'm very confident, knock wood, that these will be done by next week's podcast. That's the plan anyway. So let's see. Okay, so this next project is a spoiler. If you've been watching for the last few weeks, you know I've been working on the Snow Melt Mystery Knit Along by Helen Stewart. It's a snow melt shawl. And so we got our 4th clue yesterday morning, so I did a little bit of work on that. So if you do not want to be spoiled, it's time to disappear for a little while, and I'll try not to go on too long about it. So very quickly, once again, I'll recap the yarns that I'm using. Ooh, a little bit tangled here. Oh, I just love it when your needle hooks on your yarn and you end up with a big tangled mess. Okay. This is color A. See? This big floppy falling apart ball. Beautiful blue and cream and turquoisey aqua colors in there. And it's Post Yarn by Simply Sock Yarn Company, and this is the Cash Sock in the Pont Neuf colorway. It was part of a Paris in Color club that I was in a few years ago. So beautiful. I love this yarn so much. The next one is color B, and it is Knit Picks. The color's still not 100% right, but I feel like maybe it's a little better under this lighting. Anyway, it's Blue Yonder Stroll Tonal. And then color C is from String Theory. It's their Caper Sock. And the colorway is Laguna. And it looks like this. It's a mixture of dark blue and that turquoisey blue. Again, not quite right, but I think it's a little better than before. I don't think I'm ever going to get these to represent as they truly are. That's just the nature of lighting and the lack of professional lighting. So here comes the spoiler part. So I finished clue 3. Okay, so I'll hold it up. It's getting quite unwieldy, as you can see, and very long on the needle. So I'm going to try and smooth out a section here in the middle without having them come off the needles. So from here to about here was clue 1, where you combined color A with color B and color A with color C. Then the next section was the series of lace that combined color A and color C. And then the last couple clues have been only color B and color C. So it has involved a series of striped chevrons and then just some plain garter sections, and then stockinette and garter sections, and then now we've increased again up to over 500 stitches. That's I don't know if you can see right there. And now it's a series of garter stripes with broken up by more what do you call those, like a simple lace section. There's another, eyelet, that's the word I'm looking for, another eyelet section. Now the only thing that I'm a little bit not sure about is that the turquoise in color C in some places is quite similar to the turquoise in that is color B. And so in some areas the striping effect is not as obvious as it is, or as contrasty as it is in other places. So you can see in this area here, there's less contrast than there is, for instance, let's see, like here, you can see a definite dark and light stripe. I'm hoping that once it's all done and blocked, I think the overall impression is of stripes, so I'm not too worried about it. That's part of the, that's actually a really good, pretty good look at the whole thing. Part of the fun and part of the downside, I guess, in a way too, of a mystery knit along is you don't really know how all your colors are going to play together before you knit them. And I enjoy the idea of going out of my comfort zone a little bit and just letting things happen as they may. And so overall, I'm very pleased with the design. It's been a very fairly easy to knit, which has been good for me at this stage of the game, the way my life's been lately. But at the same time, you know, it's soothing, a lot of garter stitch and stockinette and broken up by the occasional lace. So this clue, I think, is only, I think, about 20 rows long, but they're long rows. Yeah, we're up to 521 stitches at the moment. I've completed 65% of the shawl now. So there is another look at it in its entirety. Now I'll put it away, so hopefully if you didn't want to be spoiled, you weren't spoiled. So when I finished Cameron's socks yesterday morning, I knew I wanted another pair to work on at curling that night. I curl at 4:30 with my sister, and then we're part of the dinner league, so they bring in dinner from different restaurants around town every week. And then if our husbands are curling the early draw at 6:45, then we stick around after dinner and watch them curl. And so I like to knit while I watch them curl, because it's, you know, I hate watching TV or anything else just without having my hands busy. So yesterday morning I went digging in my stash and found yarn for a new pair of just plain vanilla socks. So I got started. I did the cuff up and a few rows of the main sock before I went, so then it was easy to see. I didn't want to be knitting black ribbing. So this yarn, you may recognize it. It's fairly popular. It's the West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply. And this stripy one is called Bullfinch. And then this is also the West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply, and it's just in the black color, which I believe is 99. Pretty sure the color numbers are in the middle there. So I had thought about doing these two at a time, but if I knit a pair of this yarn in a different colorway for my daughter, and I just did the heels and the toes in the black, and I have about half a ball left of this, enough to make another pair of socks. So I, rather than divide the ball in two like I normally would and knit the socks concurrently, I decided to preserve as much in a single length as I could. I'm going to knit this entire sock, and then I'll start it again at the beginning of the same place that this one starts, and then I'll have enough left over to do another pair for someone else. So it's amazing. They do work up much faster when you just do one at a time. So I'm quite enjoying that. I love, red's my favorite color, and I love red, gray, and black together. So I'm looking forward to wearing these. These are for me. Okay, so that's what I've been working on this week. So what do I have coming up? Well, the March Sock Bash will be starting March 1st, and I showed you this yarn a couple of weeks ago. It's Hedgehog Fibers sock in the birthday cake colorway, and since my birthday is in March, I decided that I really wanted to make some birthday socks for myself. And so at the time, I had ordered this other skein called Monarch, and I think it was while I was showing it on the podcast, I realized actually that they go together very nicely. And so I'm going to be making some birthday cake socks for myself, and I'm going to incorporate this color in. And I've also been, I have an idea for a sock design, and I've been actually doing some swatching this week with some, scrap yarn, and I think I have it figured out what I want to do with it. So hopefully, let me think, February 28th is what, Tuesday? Oh, maybe by next time I podcast, maybe we'll have the beginnings of the birthday cake socks on the go, so you can see what I've been up to. I'm really looking forward to casting these on. They're such beautiful colors, and now that I've got the idea worked out, I can't wait to start on it. Excuse me for a moment, just take a sip. So my blast from the past this week is from my much younger days. We've been, backstory for those who haven't watched, we had a flood in our basement back just before Christmas, and have been doing renovations in preparation for the restoration company to come in and do their part, which is happening starting next week. So we've been shuffling things around from one room to another as we've been trying to get ready to clear out the rooms. And it's amazing what you come across. We had a storeroom, was one of the affected rooms, with lots of stuff we had just kind of thrown in there. And so while we were kind of doing some organization this week, I found these embroidery pictures that I had done. They're actually dated 1979. So before I did cross stitch, I did embroidery. So those of you in my age group may recognize Holly Hobby. She was very popular. I think it was probably in the 70s. So I made this one here. And then I made a matching one to go with it. There we go. So it's all just embroidery on even weave fabric. I'm guessing it was probably a stencil that you ironed on. I think that's how it was done back then, and then when you washed it, it came off. I honestly don't remember. What I do remember is that during that time, I used to babysit for my sewing teacher, and I had done some childcare for her over the summer while she and her husband went away. And as a thank you, in addition to, she paid me for it, of course, but in addition to that, she framed one of these pictures for me, and then I framed the other. So I must have had these, I don't even think I ever, I must have had them hanging up somewhere. I don't remember. But what I do remember is that when my daughter was young, my mom made her a Sunbonnet Sue quilt. And it was kind of in the style of a bedspread that had the quilted top and then the dust ruffle that went around the outer edge of the bedspread. And I kind of kind of made it in a, not quite this color, but a complementary kind of color. And so she had these hanging up in her room with this bedspread when she was young. Now, as you can see, this got dropped. So the frame is broken, the glass got broken, and I've never reframed it or repaired it. I don't know where I would hang it now. And, you know, unfortunately, they've just been sitting in a box all these years, but it was a really cool thing to come across. I had totally forgotten that I even had them. So as you can see, I've been stitching for quite a long time. I was in my teens back then. Let's look at my notes here. Okay, time to talk about the product that I wanted to review with you. So a few weeks ago, when I bought that yarn that I'm going to use for my birthday socks, I also ordered a tool. Oh, there goes the thing. One sec. No professionals here. It's called the Gleaner. It's actually called the Gleaner Ultimate Fuzz Remover. And I'd heard about it, but I'd never tried it. I have several sweater shavers that are like battery operated, and they have little blades that run, like spin around like a fan blade. And I had one that worked really well, and I guess the blades have just gotten dull and it doesn't do as good a job anymore. I mostly would use them when I felt slippers, and I like to take the layer of fuzz off the slippers before I gift them or before I wear my own. So anyway, I saw this was available at that yarn shop, and I thought I'd give it a try. I paid $22 Canadian, and I went on the US website, and this is priced at $19.99. So it's not a huge investment. The tool comes with a lint brush on this end. So that's what that looks like. And then there are three, what do they call them, edges for different types of fabrics and pilling. So this is the medium edge, and this is recommended for medium pills and soft wools like merinos. This one is number 3. They're marked on them 1, 2, and 3. Number 3 is a finer edge. It's almost like, almost feels like a bit of a sandpaper. This is very smooth, not very rough, I guess is the best way to put that. This one has definitely more grit. You can hear my finger catching on it more. And I haven't tried this one, but it actually looks like there's a wire wrapped around this edge. That would obviously be for a more heavy-duty job. So I went to put on my Miranda this morning, and it had a lot of pilling on it, and I thought, well, here's a good chance to try this Gleaner out. So I laid it on the ironing board as is recommended and went to town, and I picked up, it says that much fuzz came off it. Came off very easily. Did not snag the fabric at all. It seemed to be quite gentle on the fabrics. So you just, literally just need a little bit of tautness. So, run it over. And of course, the areas on a sweater that get the most wear from rubbing together, like under your arms. I find with this sweater, because it's all textured on the front, this area tends to get quite a bit of pilling on it. So then, as you can see, it picks up the yarn. Let's do that. You can maybe see that better. So that wasn't rubbing very hard. It just picked up nicely, and then you just kind of pick it off every so often, because it does collect fairly quickly. So I had to quite often do that, and then I had fuzz left over on the ironing board, and I just, brushed it off with the lint brush. Worked really well. So then I was thinking about what else I might use it on. And I have a blouse that my daughter had borrowed some time ago. And she washed it, and there must have been a Kleenex, I think, in the wash, because when I got it back, this cotton lace on the blouse. Had all these white flecks that were all stuck to it, you can see. And I had tried to get them off, but I really couldn't. So I haven't worn this since. So I gave it a try with this gleaner, and it actually did quite a good job. I used the number 3, the finer edge, and as you can see, did a really good job of taking all that white off. There's still a little bit, I think, right there. And I might be able to just reach that and pick it off. Yeah, that's just kind of caught on there, not stuck in there. But yeah, so that was good to try out. I'm glad it worked on that too. So I can see that this little tool is going to come in quite handy, I think. The big test for me will be when I do felted slippers. Hello again. A little while's actually passed since I last spoke to you. I've had a break for lunch, and after watching the end of the episode, I decided I really rambled on way too much, and I thought I would re-record it. It also occurred to me that a few details that I left out about the gleaner that I thought I would add to this section. So as I was saying, to me the real test will be when I felt some slippers again, and see how well this takes off that initial halo that you have after you felt slippers. And so then it occurred to me that I actually had a pair of felted slippers on, so I thought I would even test this right now. So I have, this is the heavier duty blade. Now, this is my slipper. It is not a very good example of a felted slipper. This was a new to me pattern combined with my first time felting in my new front load washing machine. And as you can see, the stitches really didn't disappear very well. It's kind of misshapen. I'm just wearing these till they wear out, and then I'll make myself a new pair. Since these, I have done another pair of the felted clogs that I normally make, and I altered the method I used for felting them a little bit by alternating between soaking them in really cold water and then throwing them in the hot wash cycle, and that seemed to do a better job with felting, so I will try that again in the future. Anyway, I thought it would be interesting to see. There's a lot more, filthy, sorry, a lot more pilling on these, so I'm just going to give it a quick try and just see if how this heavy duty one works on those pills. Definitely coming off. So I'll keep you posted when I do felt slippers again. I'll give this a try and I'll let you know how that works. I wanted to mention that I was looking at the website earlier, and it looks like this thing comes in a number of colors. This is the color part that changes. And also that replacement edges are available if these ones wear out. I'm curious to see how long these last, of course. And there's also a travel version, more compact. And then they also sell, looks like, felted dryer balls. So that's something I've thought about making, and but they seemed quite a reasonable price for those too. So who knows, maybe I'll save myself the time and energy and just order some. But in any case, that's the gleaner so far. Happy with it, and I will let you know as time goes on if I have anything more to say about it. So I'll just put that aside. So what am I reading this week? Well, I haven't really touched my Louise Penny book. Heard back from a number of people that have also read the Louise Penny books and also really enjoyed them. So, okay, that's a word I keep saying, enjoy. I'll work on that. It's funny when you watch yourself back and you realize certain words that come up over and over again. In any case, it was neat to find some other people who also were enjoying Louise Penny. So mostly what I've been reading this week is continuing with Partners in Crime by Agatha Christie. Uh, as I mentioned before, it's more or less a series of short stories involving these two characters, Tuppence and Tommy. And, it's light reading. They get themselves into some pretty far-fetched scenarios, etc. But I'm not looking for anything deeper than that from this book, so it's serving its purpose nicely. I can read a chapter or two before bed and don't have to strain myself too much. So enjoying that still. Okay, there we go. Enjoying it again. Got to find a new word. I need a thesaurus. So also this week I returned to an audiobook that I had started quite a while ago. It's called The Last Illusion by Rhys Bowen, and it's part of the Molly Murphy's mystery series. It's about a woman named Molly who, it's set around the turn of the 20th century, and Molly comes from Ireland, basically flees to Ireland, and takes up a new life in New York City, and finds herself through a series of events as the proprietress of a detective agency, a one-woman show. And her boyfriend and then now fiance at the point in the series that I'm at is a New York City police detective. So they sometimes butt heads over her cases. He doesn't really like her working in such a dangerous job and would like her to do things that are much more ladylike. And she's kind of got an independent streak and doesn't take too well to being told what to do. So I've read another series by this, or I should say mostly listened to, but I've read a few of the books. Another series by Rhys Bowen called The Royal Spinous Mysteries, and the main character of that one is a distant heir to the throne. I think her grandmother was one of Queen Victoria's children or something like that. She's a fictional character, obviously, but the books involve real members of the royal family. They're incorporated into the storyline sometimes. In any case, I enjoy that series more, but I tried the Molly Murphy books because I enjoyed the other series so much, and I'd run out of those books. Still waiting for a new one to be published. In any case, there again, nothing too deep. Good way to pass the time. This particular story I haven't really been able to get into as much. It involves Harry Houdini and his wife and some crimes that have taken place at the theater where they are performing their acts. And Houdini's wife hires Molly to look into it because she's trying to protect her husband. So I'm probably halfway through it, I guess. As I say, not enjoying it as much as some of the others. It's not holding my attention as well, but it's good entertainment. So I'll continue on and find out how that one ends. I actually just downloaded the next one in this series today, and so when that's done, I'll give them a little rest and then go back to them, I guess. So that's about it for what I'm reading and for all of my regular segments. A little bit about my week. When I spoke to you last, I was just finishing up the painting that we had done for a renovation. So I got that all done Saturday afternoon. And then the next day, my husband and I stripped the floor in our family room. We had originally, when we had done renovations years and years ago, we couldn't afford to buy new flooring at the time for our hallway and family room downstairs. So we just painted the concrete to make it look nicer. And my word of advice is don't do that because it might come back to haunt you when you need to lay other type of flooring on top of it. Later on, we put laminate on the family room floor, and that was fine. But we did a vinyl flooring in the hall area and ended up having to rent a big sander machine to take the paint off that section. So this time around, we're getting something called vinyl sheeting for the entire downstairs, and it also needs to be glued down, and it was recommended to us to remove the paint from the family room. So we had originally planned to rent a sander again, and then it was suggested to us, well, why don't you just strip it? So we thought, sure, okay, we've never stripped paint before, but how hard can it be? Well, I wouldn't say it was difficult, but it was a lot of work, messy and smelly, and took a long time because you can only do a small section at a time, because if the stripper compound or component dries, then you can't get the paint off. So you have to put it on, wait 15 minutes, and then immediately strip it off. So we had small sections going about every 7 or 8 minutes apart so we could keep the process going. But it was a terrible job, took us all day, and I'm just thankful I am never going to have to strip a concrete floor again. Enough said. So after that, I thought, oh, Monday should be a pretty good day, fairly restful. I knew I had to do laundry, but that was about it. Well, I got a phone call first thing in the morning from my daughter, who needed to go see the doctor about something, and she asked me if I'd look after my 2-year-old granddaughter. So of course I said sure. So she came over. We had a lovely morning, and so Jessica came to pick her up and phoned me a while later to say that my granddaughter had put a stitch marker up her nose and she couldn't get it out. So it was one of those little gold brass rings. I'm not sure how large the one she had was, but she could see it, but she couldn't reach it. So she took her to the doctor. He couldn't get it out. Was recommended that she go to the emergency room with her, so she did, and then she proceeded to wait and wait and wait. So she called me back to ask if I could pick up the other kids from school in case she was still at the hospital. So I did that and brought them back to my house, and it was actually really nice. They're 6 and 12. I made muffins and actually had a lovely time. But I couldn't keep them any longer. Cameron and I had to go curling, so we dropped the kids off at the hospital. I don't think it was much longer after that my granddaughter got looked after. But as it was, they couldn't get the stitch marker out at the hospital either. So she had to take my daughter had to take my granddaughter the next day, a good hour away by freeway, to an ears, nose, throat specialist. Apparently we have one of those in Chilliwack, here where I live, but because it wasn't that doctor's week on call, she had to travel down the valley towards Vancouver and take her for this appointment. Well, by that time they couldn't see the stitch marker anymore with a scope, so then she had to bring her back into town and go to the hospital here again and have her x-rayed. Long story short, they can't find the stitch marker. She may have swallowed it. She may have sneezed it out. It's not there anymore, but what an ordeal for the poor little 2-year-old over this teeny weeny stitch marker. Now, whether she'll learn her lesson or not is doubtful. She is really bad about putting things in her mouth and in her nose. But it's funny, I would talk to her on the phone, and the first thing she starts talking about is the ring in her nose and going to the doctor. So it definitely has left an impression on her. Poor little one, I felt so bad. So the rest of the week was a lot calmer. Tuesday, I was feeling a little bit under the weather, and I probably more run down than anything, so I just, my motto these days is be kind to yourself, and so I just took a really restful day, did a lot of knitting and not much else, and that really helped. That night we went back to volleyball. We hadn't been for a few weeks, and that was really fun. And I guess other than that, just we went curling last night like we normally do. Neither of us won our games, but yeah, whatever. It's fun going anyway. So this morning, I had a big steel container delivered to our home. It's in our driveway, out the window here. And Monday morning, we have a crew coming to load it up with the furniture, etc., that's in the contents of our basement, of our downstairs. And then on Thursday and Friday, the flooring company is coming in and putting our new flooring in. And then the week after that, the restoration crew comes back in and does we'll put all the baseboards and casings up, and new bathroom vanity, and the plumber will come in and reconnect all, the toilet and stuff, and put the washing and machine and dryer back in place, etc., etc. We'll have our house back. Better than ever. I'm so excited. It's been a stressful time, sometimes more stressful than others. It's definitely, I'm sure you're sick and tired of hearing about it. I'm sick and tired of living it. So I'm really excited for this phase of our life to be over. I know it's a first world problem, and in the scheme of things, it's not a big deal, but, it really, we've not had our life from that time on it's just been a part of it, is this whole background thing, and then busy with the renovations on our end, etc. So, yes, looking forward to that. So as far as this weekend goes, my husband's birthday is on Monday, and he decided to take the day off, so he would have a 3-day weekend. So we're looking forward to that. We don't have too much to do in the way of errands and jobs, so it should be pretty good. We're having the kids and grandkids over for dinner on Sunday to celebrate his birthday. And I know everyone's favorites, roast beef and Yorkshire pudding and all the trimmings, and I just wasn't up to that. I said, I'm sorry, all I'm doing is a big pot of spaghetti. We'll have salad and garlic bread. Everyone loves that too, so I'm sure it will go over just fine. The whole point is to get together, and we haven't done that since Christmas, I guess, so looking forward to that. I guess that's about it. If beginning the podcast is the hardest part, then I think ending it is probably the next hardest part. It's hard sometimes to avoid rambling, and so I will try to keep it short and sweet here and just say thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me again this week. I hope you have a fabulous week, get lots of knitting done, and I look forward to speaking to you hopefully in another week's time. So take care. Happy knitting, everyone. Bye.